Welcome to Two Across, the podcast where two friends sitting on opposite sides of the Atlantic Ocean catch up over a crossword. I'm Theo Bosanquet in London, England.
And I'm Rob Cole in Montreal, Canada.
So Rob, first question. What's your current temperature?
I think this morning we were at minus 15.
Okay, you win. I was quite pleased with myself for getting down to minus 6 overnight.
That is incredible for London.
It is an unprecedented cold snap. I think the UK is currently the coldest it's been for something like 15 years. So yeah, it is chilly.
Have they found another awe-inspiring term like the beast for the East to describe it?
Sadly, we do not have beast from the East type terminology, only vague chatter about, what's it called? My meteorological skill is clearly not up there. What's the thing that kind of regulates the temperature that comes across the Atlantic down from the Arctic?
Oh, the Gulf Stream.
Yes, thank you, Rob. So we're currently on the wrong side of the Gulf Stream. So anything south of Spain is currently unseasonably warm. Anything north of Spain is currently unseasonably cold. And here ends the weather forecast.
There it is. Which for those listening to this podcast in the summer will find very unstabilizing.
Indeed, for those who wish to catch up with us later in the year, this will all be meaningless to you.
But it's a big deal for you guys because I remember living in the UK and I was there during the Beast from the East, and it gets really cold because the houses aren't built for it. We have industrial heaters inside of our house and our walls are half a foot thick with insulation.
Yeah, we get very, very excited and hysterical about any weather extremes in the UK. I mean, famously, we are a country that is obsessed with the weather. So, yes, we get countless headlines about lakes freezing over and how they're all coping with it in Scandinavia versus what we're doing here. And it seems in Scandinavia, where it's currently like minus 30 or something in the northern reaches of Norway, they're putting their babies outside to enjoy the freshness of the air. Meanwhile, it's minus 6 over here and we're huddling indoors like it's the apocalypse or something. So, strokes for folks.
And opportunity for the British to exercise their habit of self-flagellation for not living up to the standards of others or their own standards. So, you can always look at how someone's weathering it and say, we've lost our mettle.
We love a bit of national self-flagellation. It is a British pastime, done in a very obviously superior way. That's the key. So it's,
of course, because inherent in all that is that all these people living in these more frigid places chose really shitty places to set up shop. Whereas aren't we here quite happy on our wonderful green and pleasant land?
It's patriotic humble bragging. Now, speaking of which, actually, this is a tenuous connection. But anyway, I have been exposed to some Canadian culture in recent days, which has been exciting for me. So the first thing I saw was the play Kim's Convenience, which is the play upon which the Netflix comedy series is based. And for the uninitiated, Kim's Convenience is set in a convenience store in Toronto, and which is run by a Korean man called Mr. Kim, and it's very funny. And the play, it's those who know the sitcom will probably be able to imagine what the play is like, but it's sort of very similar thematically, and it was interesting. It's shone a spotlight on the immigrant experience in Canada, which I found very interesting.
Hopefully the experience of Kim and his convenience store crew is better than that of the Korean convenience store owners in Do the Right Thing.
Do you know, I haven't seen Do the Right Thing, so you're going to have to illuminate me on that one.
Well, I can't remember the movie very well, but I remember that there was the greater racial tension between the African-American community in that region, and then there was the sub-tension between the Korean convenience store owners inside the African-American community and the community itself. So it was sort of a interesting commentary, but I recall that they didn't have an easy time of it. So hopefully Mr. Kim and his family have an easier time of it.
Yeah, I would say the play is probably a bit darker than the sitcom, but at the same time, it does keep things generally at the lighter end of the spectrum. So it doesn't dive too deep into those sort of underlying racial tensions, but it certainly alludes to them, and it is really interesting. Um, and anyway, the second thing I saw, totally the opposite end of the spectrum scale-wise, was the latest Cirque du Soleil show in London at the Royal Albert Hall. And of course, that's a
Ooh.
company that originated in your backyard.
In Montreal, literally. I mean, pretty close to my backyard. I think they used to set up their first big top in the Old Port, which is about 2K from here. So maybe 20-minute walk.
There you go.
So very much in my backyard, yeah.
Yeah. Well, they've come a long way since then. And I understand this is the 40th year of their founding. So
Wow.
it's been a long old journey. And then I Googled the founders of it, just
Guy
as sort of
Laliberté.
background, who it turns out is now a massive poker player.
Is he?
Mr. Liberté, yeah.
I think he went to
I think he's
space too. Am I wrong
Of course
about
he
that?
did. Of course he did. What else are you going to do with all that circus money? But shoot yourself into space in a phallic rocket.
Yeah, exactly.
Seems
And a
to
lot
be
of acrobatics to be done in space, if you think about it.
Easy. Even I could do a somersault in space.
Was it like what
Yes.
Snoop Dogg says? It's like shooting layups.
I'm laughing. I've absolutely no idea what that reference is. Obviously, I know who Snoop Dogg is.
It's a
but sadly
basketball reference.
Okay, excellent.
Shooting, layups are sort of like you're close to the basket and you're just pitching it up into the basket.
Sure. I feel very, very British on that one. So, should we crack on with our crosswording?
A great British crossword, and this time we have to pay better attention to the thing because last time we got very diverted and performed very poorly. So
We did.
for those who haven't heard that episode and want to hear us fall flat on our faces, I would strongly recommend episode 3 or episode 4 by number. It's the third after the pilot, but anyway.
In both cases, we procrastinated our way to crushing losses, and which means that our overall tally is now 3-2 against, I think, something of a football score. But we need to equalize today.
And to feed on the football analogy, it feels like we just got called up to the Premiership from a lower league, bringing on these Guardian crosswords. Because the Collins one, which I did a warm-up crossword this morning in Collins, and one of the clue was number after 5.
I mean, come on. I miss those days, Rob. I miss those first 3 episodes.
I know. This is all right. Well, let's see if we can do better today.
Okay. So I'm going to start the timer off, and we will crack on. So let me just do that right now.
And I will read out the first clue as you do that. Renaissance part song. That is 1 across, and it's 8 letters. Renaissance part song. You were a chorister, Theo.
Yes. So I should definitely get this. The Renaissance, which is, we're talking, what period is that? 18th century?
No, 15th. 16th.
16th century. Excellent. Good start.
Let's take a pass and try and get some letters on that.
Okay, Renaissance part song. So I know about, could it be something like a madrigal? That's something that feels Renaissance-y and part songy. Does it fit?
I think it does, because if you look at 3 down, a madrigal would make the 5th letter an I, which is the beginning letter of 3 down, and 3 down is that will never happen, ! 2 letters, 4 letters, 6 letters. And if I'm not mistaken, an I could make that in your dreams.
Oh, what a lovely, lovely get that is. So the clue is that will never happen, ! 2, 4, 6, and the answer would be in your dreams. We're heavy penning that, Rob.
I think we're heavy penning that one.
Definitely.
If we look at 1 down, disguise then, if it were madrigal, would be starting with M, 4 letters. Disguise could be a mask.
Got to be a mask.
Okay.
Got to be. Okay, this is promising. I don't want to tempt fate, but this is a promising start.
It's a good start. And Madrigal, I would never have gotten that. I don't even know that I've ever heard it. I may have heard of it. But anyway, well done.
Well, I'm very relieved I got that. As a drama critic, I would have been
pilloried.
It would have been a dereliction of duty. Although my knowledge of the Renaissance is clearly not as good as it should be.
2 down. Starts with D and is a percussionist.
Okay, so again, we're not going to patronize our listeners by telling them what that one is. It's clearly a draftsman.
Draftsman, exactly.
Yeah. 9 across.
Yes. So what's that?
Analyze. S blank U blank 1. Analyze. Study.
Let's not patronize. Yeah.
Yeah, sorry. I just did.
Oh, that's all right. No. Well, as you said in, I think, episode 2, the British are somewhat patronizing.
I was just about to correct you there, Rob, and enjoy myself. I think you'll find it.
Yeah, enjoy looking down your nose at me.
Okay, you choose the next one.
Yeah, let's do it that way. Discrimination, starting with A. It is 6 letters long.
Discrimination. Ageism?
It could be. That's a form of discrimination. I was thinking also it could be discrimination in terms of having discriminating tastes. But, well, if it's ageism,
do we
want to try... Oh, well, let's try 10 across, Theo, because I think this may agree with your theory. Because an oval, 7 letters, starting with E, if it's ageism. So I think that might be like our slightly oval orbit of the sun.
Which is a ellipse. Is that right?
Oh, wait. Doesn't fit. Unless it's oval, like ellipsoid or ellipse. No.
No, it does fit, because I think it's a double L.
Is it? Okay, I'm slightly dyslexic on double L's. I had help in grade school because of my challenges with double L's. I remember my English mother constantly correcting my missed or phantom double L's. So this is my crossword weakness, yeah. Okay, ellipse fits. Do we want to try and get some others across this ageism and see if we can find a way? Well, anyway, it's your clue, so I took the last one.
Well, I've penned ageism in just for, for the hell of it.
For shits and giggles?
Yeah, for the sheer anarchic fun of it. So 11 across. Shopper who acts on instinct. 7, 5. That's got to be an impulse buy.
Yep.
Which means that we do... that all fits. Ageism does fit.
Yeah, how did you get that without any... I'm very impressed with that one.
I think I'm just very in tune with the Guardian outlook, and
yeah,
they talk about ageism quite a lot.
The Guardian talks about every kind of ism. I think the Guardian wakes up out of bed outraged, just outraged, like the normal sense of anxiety that any human being feels when they get out of bed in the morning, that they ascribe to having to go to school or having to go to work or deal with a difficult person or give their kids breakfast. The Guardian ascribes to the list of 100 things that they're outraged about, and then just stews, and then they pick up their pen and go for it.
You see, this is where I would diverge slightly. I wouldn't say it's outrage; it's more ennui. So I think the Guardian has a slight sense of sort of world weary. There's a good old German word that my grandmother used to use, which you may know, which is Weltschmerz. Do you know that one?
World weariness.
Yes, which is such a good word. She would say, even when I was 8 years old and a bit grumpy about not getting some sweets or something, she'd say, "Oh, you have Weltschmerz," and it's like, yeah, I do have Weltschmerz because I didn't get my Smarties.
Thank you for naming my psychological predicament, Grandma. You've made it all make sense.
The Germans have the best words for everything. We should be doing a German crossword. I mean, we really shouldn't. We would not get any of it, but...
It strikes me a German crossword would have a lot more 20-letter long words as well.
Absolutely. And spellings would be a nightmare. So
Correct.
you choose where we go next.
Let's take an easy one. 5 across. It is the symbol that looks like a slightly elongated O, a slightly vertically elongated O, which in mathematics usually is referred to as a 0.
I'm so glad you told me what that was.
It's it's an emoji without eyes and a smile.
I was thinking it's going to be something from GCSE maths that I wasn't paying attention to. No, it's just 0. Thank God. 6 down. Vacant. Again, I mean, I'm just going to fill this in because...
E space P space Y for the listeners at home.
Yeah. Let's swiftly move on then. 7 down. Decide against. O space E space R space space space.
Yeah.
So I think I've got it.
Yep.
Overrule.
I think I agree. Okay, well, we're moving smartly right now. We've kept
motoring.
We've kept a good pace. Let's try 13
20 minutes
here.
on the clock, as in 20 minutes left.
Oh, perfect.
So we're doing well.
Send up. So that is 13 across, space, space, R, space, D, space, which I think could be deride, potentially.
Oh, yes. Very good guess.
Like the derision that I expressed earlier of the Guardian's outrage / Weltschmerz.
Yeah. Deride. Very good.
Acquaintance via correspondence, 14 across. 3 letters, second word ending in L. This is old school. Did you have one of these when you were a kid? So someone in Germany or Austria, perhaps, that you wrote letters to?
I certainly did. I had a French pen pal.
Really?
Can't remember his name now.
Let's call him Henri.
My wife has a brilliant story about her French pen pal in that she had a pen pal from somewhere really, really nice. I think in the south of France that she got to visit in the middle of summer and have this amazing stay with this family, essentially on the Riviera. And then in return, her French pen pal got to come to Warrington, which, again, for the uninitiated, is a fairly industrial town in the northwest of England, in February. So it did not feel like a quid pro quo, if you will.
Someone felt they got the short end of the stick on that one?
Yeah. I ironically can't think of the French expression. Anyway, they didn't seem to mind. I think they managed to appreciate the culture clash.
In French, we would call that se faire rondement chier, which literally means to be roundly shitted or roundly shat.
Yes, my wife's pen pal was roundly shat upon. And no, but by the way, for all our listeners based in Warrington, which may include my in-laws, absolutely no harm.
Save yourself, Theo.
My description. I'm floundering. I'm going to get attacked by the angry mob next time I visit. I'll be forbidden from ever setting foot there again.
They're passing a bylaw as we speak.
Yeah. 8 down. Tatler, 12 letters.
Yeah, space L, space B, space E, and then 6 letters. And I believe that is, just to give people a second to catch up, that is a blabbermouth.
Oh, I wasn't even close to that one. I was thinking we'll have to come back to it. Well done.
Yeah, we've got some letters going all the way down to the bottom.
Would that be an expression you use in Canada, a blabbermouth?
I think that's an expression we might have used in the 80s. I don't think I've ever heard my kids say that. It sounds a bit dated.
Mm. Well, same here. I can't imagine saying to my kids, don't pay any attention to them. They're such a blabbermouth.
Don't worry about Susie. She's just being a blabbermouth. Yeah, I think it went out of fashion at the same time as the word grody.
Oh, yes. Or tittle tattle. Actually,
Tittle tattle.
Boris Johnson uses that all the time, which is evidence, if it were needed, that it's definitely an arcane turn of phrase.
Yes.
17 across. Get by financially. 4, 4, 4.
Make ends meet.
Ah, you're smashing it today, Rob. You're smashing the multiple worders. So let's move on.
You got Madrigal. That started the whole dream. Teamwork makes the dream work. That's what my kids were taught at school.
Very pleased with Madrigal.
Yeah, me too. I thought it was a bird.
It could be a bird. It'd be a nice name, I think, Madrigal.
Yeah.
Maddie for short.
Yeah.
Short for Madeline? No.
Yeah.
Madrigal, because my dad is a knob.
Holy scrap. But if you had, like, if your daughter were Madrigal Bosanquet, I mean, she would be destined for a literary life.
A literary life and a life of constant bullying. I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that to her. I did name.
Fair enough.
Oh, it makes it sound like this is a totally my decision, which it obviously wasn't. But her name is Shakespearean in flavour.
Ophelia Bosanquet.
King Lear Bosanquet. Yeah. 15 down. Film trailer 7. 7 letters beginning with P. Could it be a preview?
I think it could be a preview.
I mean, I would never use that word to describe a film trailer, but I can see that
we here in America will use preview rather than, well, I guess we trailer as well, but we do like preview. We do like preview, especially when you're at the movies, because that's when it really is a preview. You know, it's before the movies. You're getting this sneak peek of something that's coming out, the summer blockbusters or whatever.
So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 clues still to get, and 13 and a half minutes in which to get them.
So you know, of course, now we have open season for digression, but we're not going to have any digressions. We're going to sort of force it and start talking about, I don't know. So let's keep going on clues and
push on.
Sending unwanted mail. Space D, space M, and then 4 letters. Oh, you know what? I think deride is wrong, my friend. And I think it's actually parody. Because then you can have spam something.
And then that would be spamming.
Yep.
Yeah. Well done.
So for those who at home who heavy penned in deride under my ill-fated guidance, I apologize. It is parody, not deride. Should we move to... What do you want to do now, Theo? What's catching your fancy?
I want to go 18 down because it's a low-hanging fruit. Highland dress, 5 letters beginning with K. Got to be kilts, no?
I would imagine, yes.
And does the plural... the clue could be plural, couldn't it? Highland dress, kilts. Yeah.
I think so.
Okay. Let's keep it. And go 20 across, which is Muslim, 7 letters beginning with I-L-M. Got to be
Italian.
Yeah. Definitely Italian. Yes. Perfect. So that's Islamic, which gives 16 down, which is decrees, blank D, blank C, blank blank. Decrees.
Edicts.
Ah, lovely.
That's, for some reason, edicts is the sort of word that recurs very frequently in crosswords. I don't know why.
Yeah. I know it from the Edict of Nantes.
Yes.
So my surname is a Huguenot surname, and the Huguenots were Protestant refugees from France. in the 17th and 18th century. And the reason they fled was because of the revocation of the Edict of Nantes by, I think, Louis the 14th, which basically removed their powers as citizens. So, or their rights, I should say, as citizens, and that led to them fleeing. So that's why I know the word.
I thought that was the edict that declared that they should all be sent forthwith from the country, but would each be assigned a baguette to carry under their arm as they boarded the boat and left forever.
If only it was so jolly, Rob. It was. In fact, a little fact is where the Huguenots are the reason we have the word refugee.
Really?
Refugee. Yeah, they were the original. I mean, they obviously weren't the original refugees. There have been many, many in history, but the word was coined for the Huguenots. Anyway, sorry, I'm now trying to turn this into the rest is history.
No, that's all right. Wonderful podcast, by the way.
Wonderful podcast. Wish we had their listener numbers. But one day, Rob, one day.
Rome wasn't built in a day.
Indeed, it was built in 4 detailed episodes about.
Yes, that started with what 7 wolves or something, wasn't it? For the hills
Romulus
of Rome,
and Remus.
But there were wolves, Romulus and Remus, and then there were wolves or something. So some wolves gave birth to them or something.
I was going to say Romulus and Remus were the children of the wolves. So yes, you're right. It started with the wolves, like so many things. It's all thanks to the wolves. So 22 across. Crikey, what a lovely British word. Crikey.
Nice.
G blank S blank.
So it's another euphemism. So crikey would be a euphemism for a curse word, a blasphemous curse word that we used too often in our Christmas episode. And this would be another one for the father of crikey, which would be gosh.
Gosh. A lovely sort of evil in war, Noel Coward type exclamation.
Gosh.
Preceded by golly, I think. Should always be.
So it strikes me that golly would be American and gosh would be British. Is that fair? Like good golly, Miss Molly?
Yeah, you're right. It maybe, but I feel like America imported golly from us. That would be one that our listeners will have to write in. Correct me, but it feels to me improbable that golly gosh as an expression is a sort of portmanteau of both American and British influence. It feels like the phrase must have originated in Hull and then it kind of got split up over time. So golly made its way across the Atlantic.
To combine the linguistic traditions would be an abomination.
So
and it would have been expressly forbidden in the Edict of Nantes.
It absolutely. In the Edict of, I don't know what our equivalent of Nantes would be.
The Edict of Slough.
The Edict of Warrington.
There you go.
Call back to an earlier reference. Anyway, I'm really losing my way with that. And we're now on to, we've got 3 clues left. 6 minutes.
Oh man, this is luxury. This is like driving a Cadillac Escalade with the heated seats on.
Don't say that, Rob. The wheels of the aforementioned vehicle can still come careering off.
In Canada, we call this, calling the shutout before it happens. So when a goalie has a clean sheet, as you would call it, and with 5 minutes late, you say, oh, he's going to get a shutout. And whenever an announcer does that on television, it's the kiss of death. It means that he's going to get scored on. So I apologize for giving the kiss of death. Should we try 23 across?
I was just looking at that one. Steered clear of 8 letters. Blank S, blank H, blank W, blank blank. Steered clear of.
That is eschewed.
Because there's a C in there, isn't there?
Yeah, it's literally eschewed.
Eschewed. Beautiful.
Is that sort of like the reverse of chewing? So you steer clear of it because you chew it and then you eschew it, which is just spitting it out.
Oh, good question. Yeah.
This one is raising so many etymological questions. No entomological questions yet, luckily. We haven't had anything to do with insects, but...
Still time.
we got 2 more left here. So we have 21 across, which is join.
Beginning with you. I mean, that is an absolute open goal to continue the sporting metaphor.
U space I believe, yes.
Yeah.
Do we insult our listeners? Oh, we do. We do.
Just did.
Okay, this is it. We are here with potentially 5 minutes left on the very last clue, which is 19 down, and it is a small quantity of sweat. Also spelt differently, a venerable British historian.
Indeed. Not Tom Holland or Dominic Sandbrook. It is, in fact, Bede, the very venerable Bede.
I always found that funny that he was always venerable. It was never just Bede.
So I'm gonna stop the clock just for the records. We have 3 minutes 42 remaining on the clock.
Woo.
So let's see if we can set that as something of a record. Not that I want to turn this into a race against the clock, but I'm pleased with us for focusing today. You know, I really think we responded to last week's disappointment in fine style.
We did.
And we came firing on all linguistic cylinders.
I think what was really important was, you know, on Monday that we had that team meeting in the locker room. We kicked the coaches out and we just sat down and we really said, you know, what do we have to do to roll up our sleeves and get back in this thing?
Yeah.
So, you know, I think I traced back today's success to the pep talk we gave ourselves.
We Alex Fergusoned ourselves today.
We did.
And we came out and overturned a deficit. Actually, we didn't overturn a deficit. We got it back to 3-3, which leaves us on an amazing cliffhanger for next time. Can we tip the scales in our favour?
Oh, I think it's 3-2 though. I think the scales are tipped in our favour because this is our 5th episode.
It's not including the pilot, isn't it?
It is. Is it? That's an excellent question.
It's our 6th episode, including the pilot.
Wow. So we're going to have, the title of this one is going to be episode 5,6 ? Let's look. Is this like jumping the shark, going onto the podcast platform to look at your own podcast? We have 4 episodes out.
Including the pilot?
Including the pilot. This is episode 5. So we are 3-2. So we're going to scrub this out from the podcast, and we are going to, next episode, intentionally fail so that we can manufacture drama for episode 7.
So I introduced this episode on a complete false premise in my inaccurate assumption that we were 3-2 down. So apologies to everyone. That was embarrassing.
So in terms of Theo's list of apologies today, this is the apologist episode. So to the people of Warrington, to the people who were taken in by his inaccurate description of our losing record. Anyone else that we should apologize to?
Yes, I would like to add my university tutor who taught me a unit on Renaissance drama, because I clearly should have known that the Renaissance was earlier than the 17th century. But sorry, no, it was in the 17th. It was the beginning of the 17th century. And I said it was the 18th century or something at the top of the episode, which is just absolutely not good enough.
I'm going to edit that out. It's going to sound something like, yes, I believe that was in the 18th century. And so, sorry, I just did it wrong again.
You did. But either way, we'll have a very badly dubbed version of me saying 16th, and then all egg will be removed from faces. But anyway, apologies to my tutor, Professor White.
You saved your standing in Professor White's esteem by having pulled Madrigal out of your lower reaches.
Thanks for that, Rob. I'm pleased to think that my Madrigal-shaped rabbit, or rabbit-shaped Madrigal, was pulled from the hat of ignominy.
Yeah.
And saved the... Anyway, I think that metaphor's run its course.
The hat of ignominy. That's like a Churchillian speech. And so Hitler pulled... Having pulled Operation Barbarossa from the hat of ignominy.
Yeah, we maybe we could have a hat of ignominy, which obviously wouldn't work because we are an audio-based show. So I could sit here wearing a hat with the word ignominy on it, and no one would know. So let's immediately
No.
park that idea. But anyway, I'm pleased with our progress today, Rob. I think we did well. We cracked on, we eyes downed, and we saw it through to a magnificent victory. So well done us.
I feel that the historians of Two Across are going to look back at this episode as a turning point.
And there will be historians of Two Across. You mark my words.
Well, once we give all work to the AIs and we have nothing but leisure and live in a Star Trek universe of moneylessness and infinite time to do what you want, there will be any number of people studying any number of things. And so all the content that we're creating right now is not going to waste. We are feeding the future historians of now.
Or probably more realistically, future students who are desperately looking for a subject that hasn't been covered yet for their dissertation and somehow stumble across this strange podcast where two blokes do a crossword and decide that this is a valuable cultural remnant from the 2020s that said so much about the collapse of civilization.
This is where it all started, folks.
It is. On which bombshell? Shall we bid farewell?
Let us bid farewell to our listeners.
Actually, just before we do that, I don't think we haven't yet drawn enough attention to our wonderful theme music, which is a composition by enthusiasts. So tell us just a little bit about enthusiasts, Rob.
Yeah, and I record this. Theo can see it. No one else can. I'm actually recording this from my studio. Enthusiasts is a solo project of mine, so I record in the wee hours of the morning or whenever I can find time with an array of different instruments. It's actually a project that was birthed in the lockdown. I used to have a band here in Montreal. I have another band in London, which we can talk about at some point as well. But this project was sort of solo, and it started because during the lockdown, that's all I had was sort of myself and whatever instruments I was able to wrestle into a car and drag down to the sea where I spent the first lockdown. And so that's actually where this project came from. And then it sort of continued when I moved back to Canada because I needed something to do with myself, given that I didn't have a band anymore. So there it is. And yeah, as I was saying to Theo before we started recording, just finished the touches on a new EP, and I'm going to probably package that up and release a full-length album sometime in the spring, whenever I get around to that. Yeah.
So yes, get yourself on Spotify, search Enthusiasts, and get it in your ears.
Yeah.
And for a little taste of that, here comes the end music. So thank you everybody for joining us again, and we will see you next time on Two Across.
See you, everyone.
Two Across was a Rob Cole and Theo Bosanquet production from Rob Cole and Theo Bosanquet Towers and Studios, and starred Rob Cole and Theo Bosanquet. And music is by the brilliant Enthusiasts. So enjoy that, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.